Hey, there we go. Hi and welcome to Football-Oranje. We're near the end of 2020, so we thought, why not? Let's talk about our favourite footballers of the year. I'm Michael and I'm with Mike. As usual, we're here to give you our thoughts on Dutch football. So, our top 10 Dutch footballers of the year. Have you put an order to yours, Mike? There were many players to pick from this year. I know for me, in my list, I've just gone for players who have sort of risen up from nothing, because I watch Dutch football for the players who are young and then develop themselves mainly in the Netherlands and then play abroad. But yeah, what's your list full of?
It isn't in order, but it's basically the 10 players I've enjoyed the most over the past year. I'd say enjoyed watching the most, or enjoyed seeing for the national team or their club team. Most of them are ones that play in their division, ones that have risen probably over the past year. Coming to this list, it's not who I think the top 10 Dutch players of the year. That would be a different list, and don't assume me for not having Virgil van Dijk in my list, but it's the players that I've enjoyed watching over the past year, and some that have risen through the ranks to be knocking on the national team door. Some youngsters in there as well. It's just a list of Eredivisie talents and Netherlands players that have done really well in 2020, in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah, if you're watching this, don't feel free to give yours in the comments as to who your favourite players were to watch this year. Can I hear who number 10 is, Mike? Who have you put in the bottom of your list?
Number 10 for me is Matthijs de Ligt. I think he's had a very good year, apart from being injured. And I think that after a tough start to life at Juventus, he's actually grown into the side, and the Italian press, especially when he's come back this season, I've been overjoyed with his performances. I've been seeing the real de Ligt. Whenever I've seen him for Juventus, I think he's been really, really good. I think that, in the Champions League, he might not have had the best of times, but I think for the Netherlands, he's been solid when he has played. He's forming that partnership with Van Dijk. I think that the Netherlands have got a world-class defender for years to come. And he's not had the best year, but I've still enjoyed watching de Ligt every single time I've seen him. And I think he just squeaks into my top 10.
Top defender. I admit I haven't watched him too much since he left Ajax. But yeah, he's gone to do great things, as we all thought. I don't know about Stefan de Vrij. Is he in your list as well, Mike? Because he was the standout defender, wasn't he, from last season?
Yeah, he's not in my list, just because I've not really seen him play much this season. I know he's done really well, and I know he's Serie A Defender of the Year. I think if we were to pick a list of the 10 Dutch players that have done the best in 2020, and not just our favourites, then de Vrij would be top 5, maybe in top 3. But just in terms of the players I've enjoyed watching, I've not really seen much of them, because I already watch Inter play, and he's not really played with the national team as well. So I've not really seen him that much. He didn't make my top 10, but yeah, he has had a great year.
For me personally, I've gone with a young defender at Feyenoord, Lutzer Geertruida. Again, not the top 10 Dutch players of the year, but one of my favourites to have watched just rise up from the Feyenoord Academy. And I think he's been one of the bright lights of a really poor campaign for Feyenoord. I think that he'll carry that on in 2021, and in time maybe feature more of the Netherlands too. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him this year. He became a regular, didn't he, around about the turn of last year, and the whole of 2020 for him has just been a massive success.
Yeah, I think he's benefited from injuries and to break into the side. I think Karsdorp was first right back at last season, but because he got injured, it gave him a chance and he took it. So versatile, he can play several different positions and he looks good in every single one. So I think Feyenoord have a really good young defender in him, and I think he's going to grow over the next couple of years, and who knows, he could be a national team player.
Who else is on your list then, Mike?
Number 9 is Ryan Gravenberch. I think I've seen him explode into a team this season, and his performances at Champions League as well. I've really enjoyed seeing him. I think it's the same sort of feeling I got when Frenkie de Jong started coming into the Ajax side with Gravenberch, and I think that he's another world-class midfielder that's coming from Ajax. I think he's got everything to be a top midfielder in the game. His defensive qualities are excellent. He's good going forward. His dribbling ability, he's strong, he's tall. He is reminiscent of Paul Pogba. He gets linked to all the time, but Pogba that played well before his Man United malaise. So yeah, I think the age that he is, the way he's playing at the moment, the way he's taken to the Champions League, the way he's taken to the Ajax midfield, I think if Ajax fans were to name their top players for the season, I think he would feature a lot because he's been one of the standouts. Yeah, I think that the next few years it's going to get even more and more exciting for him. I think he's got a chance of making the Euro squad later next year. So yeah, we'll see how he goes the rest of the season. But I think he started really well in the Ajax first team.
Yeah, he was in my list too. Without a doubt, one of the easiest picks to me. He has just risen up from the youth teams to become one of the best players now with Ajax. He said he based his game off Frenkie de Jong, and you can really see it with the way he's on the ball. And yeah, he's definitely one of my favourite players from this year. We all love to see a Dutch footballer rise up from the academy to become a national team player, and he's a perfect example of it. And I don't think you'll find many other players do the same as he's done at a top club like Ajax at the age that he's done. It's just incredible. And I don't see how he doesn't get into that Euro squad in the summer.
Yeah, I think right now he's a shoe-in. It's a shame that he didn't make his debut during the last international period. I think that was a shame, but yeah, it's coming definitely in the next few months.
I did have to put Frenkie de Jong in my list as well, Mike. But for me, only because of his national team appearances. I don't suppose he was high up your list, was he?
He's actually number 4 on my list, just because of his national team appearances. And whenever I see Frenkie de Jong play well, he always puts a smile on my face, and he always makes me excited to see the national team at Euro 2020, because I think he's going to be one of the stars of the tournament. I think seeing him play for Barcelona is totally different from seeing him play for the Netherlands. It's what he was like at Ajax, and just one of the most exciting midfielders in Europe when he puts on that Netherlands jersey, and I get that feeling every single time I watch Netherlands. So he's still, over the past year, been one of the best players in Dutch football for me. I think once Barcelona settles and they actually get a team that's capable of challenging, you'll see him come into his own. But yeah, at club level, he's struggling at the moment, but for the national team, he's always still one of my favourite to watch, and that's why he's still number 4.
Yeah, you watch a lot more football than me, like when it comes to outside of the Eredivisie and the Premier League. And it doesn't sound like he's having a great time with Barcelona, but he must have done pretty well with the national team to be that high up the list. Yeah. Who's your number 8 then?
Number 8 for me is somebody that's not had probably the greatest 2020. I think he's just coming into form now, but Calvin Stengs is, for me, is a player I love to watch. I think he's got so much talent. We're seeing in recent weeks that the new AZ boss, Pascal Janssens, moved him into a more central role, which I think will suit him in the long run. At number 10, I think he's got vision and technique more than pace and dribbling ability. So I think that maybe moving into number 10 will suit him in the long run. I think he's just a really exciting player that I've loved seeing ever since he broke into that AZ first team. He's a big reason behind why they were chasing the title last season. And yeah, he started this year off quieter, but I think we're going to see the best of him after the new year, coming to next year. And I think he will make the Euro 2020 squad, not just because he's dating Frank de Boer's daughter, but because I think he'll get on playing ability.
Yeah, I didn't put him on my list because I still don't think he's quite hit the heights that he should be. I can see why you put him lower down on your list, but he's one of those players who we've been looking at for a long time, and think he'll be one of the most incredible attacking midfielders that's out there, really. And it just hasn't quite happened still for him. Why does he make your list? Just because when he is on form, he is one of the best players in the Eredivisie?
Yeah, when you see him week in, week out, you see little glimpses of what he can do, and sometimes his teammates just aren't on his level. It doesn't come off. He always tries the Hollywood passes that don't sometimes work, but I like seeing that, and I like seeing him trying different things, and I think that he shows glimpses of what we are going to see more regular when he does eventually make a move to a top club. And even when he's played for the Netherlands in the last few games, he's got a chance. He's looked really good, so he's just a player that I enjoy watching, and that's why he's just sneaked onto my list ahead of some of our AZ players that could have been in there, like Wijnaldum or Boadu.
Yeah, I was thinking about Wijnaldum and Boadu as well. Again, great players who I think just because, like Stengs, really, the fact that they've had a bit of an inconsistent time at RZ just with the manager situation, that hasn't helped them, has it, with their development? But they'll still go on to have great seasons by the end of it, I think. Do you, by the way, think, whilst we're on this, do you think RZ are still in the title race?
For me, I think it is between Ajax and PSV at the moment. I think that if AZ had won that game against Utrecht that they're so close to doing, I think they would have clawed themselves back into it a little. But for me, I think we'll know more after January when all the top teams play each other. But I think PSV at the moment would be my favourites, with Ajax as second. And then if I had to choose from the rest of them, probably AZ. But yeah, they would be the outsiders for me. I don't see them being a real challenger to PSV or Ajax.
I still think that if players like Boadu, Wijnaldum, Stengs and Koopmeiners, those four main prospects for the Dutch national team, if they're playing to their best, I think that RZ are easily a title contender, which maybe says it again for me why they're not quite playing to their best just at the moment. But let's see what happens by the end of the season. I have put another RZ player in my list, but I wonder whether he's in yours or maybe a bit higher up, Mike. Should we save him for a bit later?
Yeah, he's high up the list. Yeah.
Who's your next one then?
7, I've gone with Wijnaldum. I think that, being a Newcastle fan, I've always loved him since he made the move to Newcastle. It's a shame that we didn't keep hold of him for longer. But yeah, since he's moved to Liverpool, I don't think he's the most appreciated of the Liverpool players. I think he just does a steady job for him, and he always does the task that Jurgen Klopp wants him to do. He's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League last year, and when he plays for Netherlands, he's always one of the top players, and he's scored some crucial goals over the past year. And that's one of the reasons why he was probably one of the top goal scorers under Koeman, and he's continued that under De Boer as well. I think when he plays at that number 10 for the Netherlands, he's always a threat. He always gets goals, and I think he's had another great year. And I'm intrigued to see what happens in 2021 with him, because he's going to be in the Euros, he's going to start, and then we'll see if he gets another move and where he goes, if he decides to leave Liverpool, if he decides not to. I think the past 2 years have been great for him, and I like watching him in a more attacking role for the Netherlands. I don't really see him much in that defensive role for Liverpool, but it shows how versatile he is and how great he is. And yeah, he's just, for me, one of the first players on that Netherlands team sheet for me.
He's had a great year because he's won the Premier League, which says how far he's come now. Wijnaldum, great for him, and Van Dijk too in that Liverpool team. But of course, can't really say he's one of our favourite players of the year just because he hasn't really played much in the second half of it. Yeah, I'm pleased that he's gone on to do great things. Wijnaldum, I remember watching him when he was with PSV, bagging the goals and back in the day. Yeah, no, he's a good pick for the list. I've gone with another foreign player actually in one of my lists. About Weghorst. I haven't watched him a lot, but I have caught glimpses of him. I'm just pleased with the fact that he's scoring goal after goal after goal in the Bundesliga, and how he's not been picked for the Dutch national team, I don't know.
Yeah, it's astounding by now. Yeah, it's crazy.
He seems like he could just transform the way they play, but it's like the Boer's not willing to give him a chance just because of how close we are to the Euros. What can he do?
I mean, the easy answer is get a move to a Premier League club, and he's getting for Tottenham. I think because he plays for Wolfsburg, it's given De Boer and Koeman a bit of an excuse, and the fact that Luc de Jong had that season last year where he was important for Sevilla in the Europa League. Yeah, I don't really know what more he can do. He keeps scoring Bundesliga. I think I see stats that only Haaland and Lewandowski are scoring more in the Bundesliga. So you've got a striker like that, especially when you're a nation that's struggling for a striker. You think he'd be one of the first names in the list. But this is something that maybe something's happened in training. Maybe De Boer's heard something from one of the coaches that, of course, maybe it's a bit difficult. I don't know. That's absolutely no truth behind that I know of, but maybe it must be something because he's scoring the goals, and if somebody like Ryan Babel's getting selected, then why can't Wout Weghorst, because he's the one that's probably the most informed, apart for, say, maybe Memphis.
Yeah, he's such an informed striker. The other choices that were there in the past just aren't scoring the goals. The other one I can think of is Daniel Marlon, but he too hasn't had the opportunity yet because of his fitness. We were actually recording this live, but it's interesting. We never give anyone any warning. It's great to have a couple of people commenting anyway. And on the Weghorst topic, John reckons that Babel's cop blocking Weghorst on the team. Yeah, true. And that
Luke de Jong as well.
Yeah, Luke de Jong. I almost wanted to put him in the top 10 because I was so pleased that he won the Europa League with Sevilla. But this season, he's gone back to just not scoring goals.
Yeah.
And I think we should have a chat about Daniel Marlon whilst got a comment about him. Absolutely go. Yeah, he has had a great start to this season. He was scoring lots of goals at the start of 2020, I think, before injury and COVID hit. I don't know if I remember that exactly. And then this season happened and he scored a few goals in the Eredivisie, but it's been immense as well in the Europa League, showing that he can do it on a different stage. And it's a matter of time before he gets selected for the Netherlands national team. I mean, we said that for Weghorst, he hasn't been picked, but I can only see Marlon being picked and hopefully he'll take his chance when he's offered it. But yeah, he's in my list too, by the way. Really enjoy watching him this year.
Yeah, Marlon's number 3.
Wow, that's high.
Yeah, because I just think he guarantees goals for PSV, and I think that when he plays, he scores in the big games as well. So I think he's done it in Europa League this year. When he needed a goal last minute, it was Marlon that was getting it. He's just a nice, cool finisher when it's under pressure, and I think that he'll play a key role in the title race this year, and especially in a game like PSV against Ajax. If Ajax's defence isn't 100%, then I would back Marlon to score, and I would back Marlon to be, if not the starting striker for the Netherlands at Euros, at least on one of the wings. I think if you look at the players that have played there recently, Bergwijn's not exactly in top form. We don't know what's going to happen with Quincy Promes. Stengs is another one. We hope we don't see Babel, but I think that Marlon, he has played on the wing already for Netherlands, and I think he can do it again. I think if Memphis is picked for the middle, then I don't see why he can't play there. With his pace and his strength, he'd just be another option there. And I can see it happening. I think he's having a great year. I think he's going to continue that in 2021. And then we'll see what clubs are getting linked to him. I think he's already been linked to Dortmund. I don't think that's the ceiling. I think he can go higher than that. I think he could replace Sancho there or Haaland. So I think he's, at the moment, the best young Dutch striker around, and he's just going to continue scoring goals after the new year as well.
High praise for Marlon. And he really is a top striker. I do rate him more highly than Boadu, but Marlon is also further on in his career than Boadu. But I think that Marlon's really got that sort of quality edge and can really take it further when it comes to the next few years. And yeah, he's a great player to watch because of his quality too. I've lost track where we are on the list, Mike. We're kind of going up and down with it. But tell me who's next in yours, and then I'll give a couple of mine as well after that.
Next on mine is another PSV player, Cody Gakpo. I think that start of last season, I think there were some doubts about him replacing Bergwijn, but I think they've all been completely washed away because this year he's just been on fire. He ended last season on fire, and he started this season as one of the best players in the Eredivisie, I think. I think he just has qualities to be a top either attacking midfielder or striker or winger, wherever he plays. I think he has the capabilities of being top class, and I can only see him going from PSV to another top club. I think he's criminally underrated in the Eredivisie. Don't think he gets the praise that he deserves so far. But some of the goals he scores, he's got such a powerful strike on him. He scores so many goals from outside the box. And he's direct running. He's always a threat. And I've just really enjoyed watching him over the past year. I think a lot of PSV fans love him because he's from the area. He's from Eindhoven. He's a local boy, and I think he's going to make them a lot of money when he eventually does decide to depart. And I think a lot of talk is about Marlon and Ihattaren, but I think Gakpo's right up there with the two of them as well.
Good shout. I can see why you put him in your list. The things I've been hearing about Gakpo on the other side, he apparently is scored from 50 from a very he's only taken 2 more shots on target, I think, than he's actually scored goals this season. Is that a really good shot conversion rate, or is that luck, or does he not shoot? Because I think he doesn't shoot enough. If he's got that good a conversion rate, why is he not shooting more?
I think he's just not greedy. I think that's a good answer. I think that when you see games for PSV, you see the shots that Michaell takes. He takes maybe 7 or 8 to score a goal. Gakpo takes 1 to score 1. I think you can't really complain about that. Maybe he should shoot more, but then he's always teeing up his teammates, creating chances. So yeah, if he turns into a 20 goal a season forward, then that's great. He'll definitely be in a national team, but I think that right now he's one of the players that's knocking on that Netherlands door. He should score more. I think if you're an attacker in the Eredivisie, you need to be racking up goals, especially if you're playing for PSV or Ajax. If you're not doing that, then you're not going anywhere. But I think we're seeing it this year that Gakpo's added goals and assists to his game, and he's only going to get better for the next 12 months, I think.
Yeah, because that was something that was missing from Gakpo's game, and he's definitely not added that, which is great going forward for him. So Gakpo and Marlon are... Gakpo was in your list. Marlon was on both of our lists. I've gone with another PSV player on my list. Again, should emphasise that it's our favourite Dutch players to watch this year. And Denzel Dumfries is up there for me. Being captain of PSV, I think that he has really taken on the leadership role. He is someone who has picked up his game after sort of like a sloppy season last season, I think you could call it. Now he's really stepping up, and I actually enjoy watching him play as a right back, I know, but going forward, he's still the threat that he's always been, and he's just really solid defensively. And I can't see how anyone would take the right back position away from him in terms of the Netherlands national team now as well. But yeah, I chose him to go on my list. What does that say about Roger Schmidt, by the way? The fact that we've got some PSV players on our favourite players to watch list. He's had a great impact to PSV.
Yeah, at times I've been sceptical in the games that have maybe lost, especially that Europa League game against PAOK, or whatever you say it, where he got absolutely torn apart. They went on a little dodgy run, and maybe his tactics weren't 100% getting understood by his players. And then we saw what happened with Ihataren at the start of the season, and when he was in and out of form. But yeah, the past few weeks, PSV have been great. It's been great to watch. And I think a lot of people are saying now that they're definitely the title favourites. He's come in, he's got the best out of Michaell, he's got the best out of Dumfries, he's got the best out of a lot of players at his disposal, and now we're seeing the best of Ihataren again. So yeah, he definitely deserves a lot of praise, and it's just going to be exciting to watch PSV for this year because of the exciting talents that they have. And you know, he doesn't make it onto this list because he's not Dutch, but you know, Noni Madueke as well is another player that Smith's come in and done wonders with.
It was actually Denzel Dumfries that said that at half-time in the home game against PAOK in the Europa League, they were 2-0 down, and then they won 3-2. And he said it was because at half-time, I believe they were losing. It was something like 2-0, 2-1 at half-time. And he said that Roger Schmidt apparently he lost it with the players, and he was shouting at them in German. He said, we know that he's shouting in German. It must mean that it's pretty serious. And it worked. So they won the game. He's having a great impact at the club. Anyway, less about German managers, more about favourite Dutch players we'd like to watch this year. I want to give another one out of my list. I've lost track of how many players I've said. I'll do a quick count in a minute. But someone who hasn't been my absolute favourite player to watch this season, but someone who's really stood out is Joel Drummel, the Twente keeper. Mainly because, again, of the development that he's made in the past few years. And this year, he's just been incredible. He's someone who deserves a transfer now to a top club, either in the Netherlands or abroad. It all stems back to when he was an 18-year-old, and his first game was actually against Ajax, 2-2 draw. But it could be that Ajax end up signing him now, now that he's 24 years old. He came in for a lot of criticism, didn't he? And I think I was one of the first people to, at the time, criticise the manager's decision of Twente, and also Joel Drummel, the fact that he was playing so poorly in goal. But of course, he was young, he was a teenager, and 6 years since then, he's become a top goalkeeper in the Eredivisie, and it's been a joy to watch him develop to the player he is now.
Yeah, definitely, and he got rewarded with that in everyone's cup. He didn't make his debut, but he was called up. I think that his development over the past few years has been great, and he is now one of the best young Dutch keepers, up there with Justin Bijlo. I think that's two goalkeepers that Netherlands can be rest assured that we've got. Two that's got a fight to replace Jasper Cillessen eventually. I think he's having a great year with 20, who have surprised me since Ron Jans has come in. They look genuine contenders for European place, and Dromo's been their star man. I can see him, if Onana goes, Dromo would probably be top of the list for Ajax to replace him, and he deserves it. I think last year he was getting, or the last transfer window, he was getting linked to English Championship clubs. You don't want to see that happening. I know Tim Krul's there and he's doing well. He's still getting Netherlands national team up, but I think that Dromo's destined for better. I always thought he was maybe a bit small, but yeah, he's doing really well for 20, and hopefully it continues. He's definitely going to get a big move in the summer and possibly to Ajax.
Without doubt. And I think he's the only goalkeeper on my list. I don't think you have one on yours, did you, Mike?
No, I don't think there's been any that have been that great to watch.
Can't really watch very much, can you? The goalkeepers.
No. And yeah, a few of them have been a bit dodgy over the past year anyway, so yeah, probably not worth putting any on.
I've only got two players left on my list, I think, unless I've counted them correctly.
I've got 3.
Yeah. Go on then, give me yours next.
Number 5, Heerenveen's main man, Joey Veerman, the creative powerhouse of Heerenveen. I think just seeing him week in, week out since he's made a step up from Volendam, he's been excellent. He's one of the top chance creators in the Eredivisie last season. He's doing it again this year. He's added some goals as well. I think that even when Heerenveen lose, he's having incredible games. It's just that his teammates maybe aren't up to his level. And I think that he's a player that's going to get a big move next summer. I think Heerenveen already want more money than they got for Ajuke, which is maybe more than 16 million. I can see possibly Ajax going in for him. I've seen they've been linked with Ndayishimiye from Willem II. I think that Joey Veerman is a much better player. And yeah, I just hope that he gets a move that warrants his ability, not to a mid-table or relegation fighting Premier League club. I think Southampton were linked to him in the last window, which would be a decent move since they're now challenging maybe top 10. I can see him at the top of the Bundesliga as well. I think he's an excellent midfielder. Can tackle, he helps the defence out. He can spread the play, he can dribble with it, he can do everything for me. I think he's a perfect box-to-box midfielder. He's getting better and better. Heerenveen, he's probably the best player they've had since Ziyech. So yeah, I think he's just a wonder to watch now. I love him. I think he's transformed Heerenveen this season and last season. And yeah, I can't wait to see where he goes next.
Yeah, that'll be key for him. I think he'll take a while to settle into the Premier League. I wonder whether something like Serie A might be a good step for him, just because of how good he is on the ball and his creativity. Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching him too. Fantastic midfielder. So we've got 2 players left, and I've got a feeling these are probably 2 of my favourite players on this list. But go on, give me your second place, Mike.
Toon Koopmeiners gets number 2 in my list. I don't think anyone can argue that he's just had an incredible year. You know, AZ maybe would have won the title last year. Who knows? We'll never know. But you know, he was excellent last season. Even though he was made to play most of the time in the centre of defence, and when he steps into midfield, he's excellent as well. He's kind of like Frankie de Jong, whereas he can drop back if you need him. So if you need to bring on an extra attacker, you take off a centre back and just drop Koopmeiners in there. He just offers that versatility. His leadership on the pitch is excellent, and his goal scoring ability. He's not just a penalty scorer. He scores free kicks. He scores from open play now as well. I think he's the everything for AZ. So yeah, it's another player that I'm intrigued to see where he does go next, because I've got such a high ceiling for him. But I have seen a lot of people criticise him for a lack of pace, so maybe that'll hinder him a little in his career. But yeah, I think he's got everything to be a top controlling defensive midfielder for a top club, and I've loved watching him for the past year.
He's another one, isn't he? Who could have left like a relegation-threatened Premier League club, and we're so glad that he didn't, because he's got the potential to be a Netherlands regular. Imagine him next to Frenkie de Jong. Still haven't seen it, but also, if you took any player out of the RZ team, if you took Koopmeiners out, he'd have the biggest impact. You know, they'd miss him the most. He's not only their captain, like you say, he scores these goals. He's just someone who leads the team and does so much in midfield. Him with the other midfielders that RZ have got just make the team what they are. Makes me think RZ are going to be once they've lost Koopmeiners, probably in the summer. Yeah. Do you see him going to the Premier League then, Mike? Or do you think he'll do something like a Serie A or Bundesliga?
I can see him going to the Premier League because I can see a Premier League club paying the asking price for him. I hope it's not a Fulham like he got linked to in the last window. You know, I've seen Leeds getting linked, possibly, or Everton, because they've got obviously Dutch links to Marcel Brands. I can see them maybe going from, but I'd rather see him in Serie A or possibly even Germany. I'd like to see him up there, one of them clubs. Even Spain, I can see him there as well. But yeah, I've got such high hopes for him. But I can see him going for maybe a mid-tier club next. I don't see him going for a Barcelona or a Juventus. I see him going maybe a step. Like Wijnaldum did. I think he went to Newcastle first before he went to Liverpool. I can see Koopmeiners going for a mid-table Premier League club or a Lazio or something like that in Italy before he goes on to one of the top clubs, because he just needs to prove himself, because it's hard for these players to really prove themselves in the Eredivisie before they get that really top move. You know, Frenkie de Jongs aren't always around, and the De Ligt aren't always around. It's going to take somebody from AZ to make another step before they go to Barcelona. So yeah, I can see him going in the summer. I really hope he doesn't go in January. I can see him getting linked to clubs in January. I just hope he doesn't leave in January, but we'll see what happens. Corona means that the clubs need a bit of money, so you never know. A tempting offer might come in, they might accept it, and then you might be away. But I hope not, and yeah, we'll see what happens in the summer, because he could be in that Euro 2020 squad. I hope he is. He better be. But yeah, we'll see what happens if he does get a chance at Euros. But yeah, him next to Frenkie de Jong would be a dream, or even just Ryan Gravenberch. I think two of those three together in the midfield is my wish list. And stop playing Kevin Strittman or Duran.
There's definitely space in that midfield, isn't there, in that Netherlands squad?
Yeah.
And there's players that can definitely fill it as well. Thanks so much to the people that are leaving comments on this video. That is live, but of course we didn't advertise it as live, but thank you for joining us anyway. Someone was commenting that Harry would be in their list of... Yeah, he's been a great player.
Great, yeah.
And I think that he'll probably leave Sparta Rotterdam in January, if not then in the summer. But yeah, if you are watching this not live, please do leave in the comments who you think were your top 10 Dutch players to watch this year. Of course, it hasn't been a full year in the Eredivisie, but we've had plenty to enjoy still. And lots of the players in this list have been from the Eredivisie. So that would mean that there is only one player left in your list, Mike, and there's two left in mine. And I'm going to take a wild...
Can I guess one of your ones?
Yeah, go on then.
Does he play for Aston Villa by any chance?
Oh, no, it's not actually El Ghazi. Oh. No. I'm not going to pick him for 5 goals in 5 games, am I?
You could have. You never know. He's had that big an impact.
He has gone from 0 to hero, El Ghazi. Not going to lie. Yeah, I think that he's just a confidence player, more than any player I think I've ever known. And if you put an arm around him and say, you're a good player, you are like Cristiano Ronaldo, he'll start playing quite good. And yeah, he's definitely come up with the reward so far. But yeah, less about Aston Villa. We'll probably sign one or two. Hopefully we can sign like a turncoat miners in January or the summer.
Oh God, I hope
not. You'd hate that as a Newcastle fan, wouldn't you?
But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to do this list next year, because I can see it being a bit different. Maybe players like Harui, Noah Lang, and for Club Brugge, these players might make it. But yeah, I think number one on my list is pretty obvious. But if you've got two we'll have to maybe go for one of yours.
Well, I have to choose Richelli Brazil, just because of how little he was perceived by so many people in the Netherlands, and now how much people actually quite rate him again. But it's all down to attitude with him, and he seems to have finally turned that corner. He's in his mid-20s, I mean, it's about time, but the player that he's becoming again now, I really enjoy watching him play as well. This new position for him as a midfielder that's so deep that now plays in the centre of defence, almost like a sweeper, if you like. It works so well for him, and his new boss, Thomas Lech at Vitesse, has transformed him as a player. But yeah, you can still see every now and again he's got that the switch with flick of a switch. That's it, and he does get angry, he does get moody, but he tries to put all that energy into how he plays on the pitch. And I've enjoyed watching his transformation, and it has to be the manager Lech who has done that.
Yeah, somebody said to me before the season started that Brazil was going to be one of the standout players of the first half of the season. He's going to be top of Football International's ranking list for basically the top player in the division. I would probably laughed because he wasn't great last year. In the years he's been since Ajax, he's been terrible. But yeah, he's transformed this year, and now he's getting talked about as being Netherlands international again. I think we didn't see that coming. We thought he was going to be one of the players that wasted his career. But now he's back. He's back in a big way. I think that if Netherlands persist with a 5-man defence, then Bazor's right back in the running. Because of his ability on the ball and his ability to pass as well, and to dribble out with it. I think he's been excellent for Vitesse this season. He's been the standout. And yeah, long may it continue, because he's just one of these players that you like to watch because he has got that bit of an edge to him as well. You never really know how it's going to go, but yeah, he's had a great start to the season and he's had a great year. So who knows, he might be at it Euro 2020, he might then earn another big move. That's the only thing that worries me about him is he's had a few good months and he's already talking about leaving Vitesse for bigger clubs. I mean, he needs to screw his head back on, realise it didn't work out last time. He needs to go, if he is going to move, to somewhere where maybe he is going to play in the defence, in the 5-man defence, because that's clearly where he's suited to. Go to somebody like an Atalanta where they play 5-man defence and shine there. Don't get too big-headed and think that you can just go straight back into the midfield, because it might not work.
Yeah, Italy's the place for him, isn't it, really? Because it's the home of the 5-man defence. That would work for him, wouldn't it? I'm trying to think, in the Premier League, you've got Wolves who play the 5-man defence. Could that work? Yeah.
Newcastle, but you need a hopeless. So yeah, don't go there. Nobody wants to go there.
Thought I had a back 10, not a back 5.
But, yeah.
I remember what it was like to have Steve Bruce, don't worry. There's one player left on our list, and I think it's the same player for both of us. And I can't say I've watched him a great deal in Liga, but I've watched him a lot with the Netherlands national team, and it's Memphis Depay, isn't it?
Yeah, number one all day long. For me, is Memphis Depay. He's just a player that you'll have to watch. I hate the fact that it didn't work out from Man United, because obviously being from Britain, we see the British perspective on him, and it's always going to be Man United flop until he goes to that next level club. And whatever he does, he's always going to be labelled as that Man United flop. But ever since he's joined Lyon, he's been incredible for them and incredible for Netherlands. He's a player that just does the unexpected, and he does it every single game he puts on that Netherlands shirt. He's taken us to UEFA Nations League final, most of his goals, and yeah, I think he saw his last game for Lyon, that Panenka. He's just got confidence to do that, and he's probably give me a heart attack if he tried it at the Euros, if there's a crucial penalty he's trying Panenka's. But yeah, he's just a player that you have to watch. He's just got that edge to him that Netherlands need, and if we don't have a striker that's like a Van Nistelrooy, Van Persie ability, we've got Memphis, and he's that player that can do something a bit different.
So you haven't picked him because he was rapping?
Sadly not, no. Let's just hopefully he forgets it's not my type of music, but I just put that to the side and concentrate on getting to the Euros and the Netherlands there. But Yeah, fair enough to him. If he's got the time to do that and he's doing well with it, then fair enough.
Yeah, he has been someone who's just led the Dutch national team as something new. That whole vibe you get from the team now is because of him. He's a leader, and he was one of the reasons why the manager is who it is now. The fact that he's one of those players who speaks up for the squad and for who they want in charge. Although that said, there were some people saying that he doesn't get on well with De Boer at all, but he was one of those people who was saying, "Oh, we don't want this guy. We don't want this guy. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind this guy as manager." And then they go and speak to them. So, yeah, let's see what he can do in the Euros. It will be a step up for him again, wouldn't it? And I think that if he can perform in the Euros, he's got the goals in Liga, then a team's going to pick him up again, for sure.
Yeah, I think he's a player that thrives on under pressure. I think the Euros is probably the stage for him.
Anyway, yeah, that was 40 minutes of chatting about our favourite Dutch players. Again, let us know who your favourite players are that you've enjoyed watching this year. Yeah, that's flown by. And I think our list will change drastically next year. Like, one for me was picking Frenkie de Jong just about in my top 10 this year, whereas in 2019 it would have been like top of my list because I enjoy watching him so much, him and De Ligt. But yeah, I mean, 2021, let's hope that it's different players because we've enjoyed watching new ones and not because players who we did like have stopped performing.
Yeah, as I said, you've got like Noah Lang, you've got Hatter in the day to make the list. Who can be there next year. You've got, you look at PSV, they've got Teze in there now. You've got some at AZ have not picked. There's a comment there about Kenzo Goodmine making it. Who knows? Maybe will. He can come into it. Yeah, and there's tons of good young players coming through it. Sparta, Groningen. So yeah, and then the ones that are abroad that are coming through, Delra's sons, the Jaden Brass went to a move to Dortmund if he finally breaks into their team. We've got Hoover making his first start for Wolves yesterday. Van de Beek's not even anywhere near our list, so there's tons of players that can change their fortunes over the next year and be in the top 10 next year. Anybody who scores a winning goal in the European Championship final will be number one for me if that happens. So let's see who that is. Ryan Babel, you could be 90th minute winner.
Now that would be a change of fortune. He could be the next Dirk out. You never know. Could play wing back and win the Euros.
Play right back. Yeah. Left back. Or Quincy Promise on the right, Ryan Babel on the left. It's the future.
One last thing before we go, and of course, you just mentioned the Euros, and I'm not getting desperate with these, but we are nearing the Euros. We've still got to sell some of these, so if you would like to buy one, I will put it in the comments, a link for you to buy one. We are running out of these Euro 2020 wristbands now. Good job as well, because the Euro should have happened 6 months ago, but we have still got some left. They've got a QR code to get onto our website. There it is, and it does work. And if you purchase one of these, it does go into, I guess, our kitty to help improve what we do. Because, again, we have very few sponsors. And therefore, if you're able to support us, it's really appreciated. Let's talk about that. I hope you enjoyed our top 10 favourite players of the year. Let us know who your top 10 are. And if you've got any ideas as to things you want us to talk more about next time or in a future podcast, again, do comment those either to us on Twitter or in the YouTube comments and let us know. What would you like to hear us discuss to do with Dutch football? But yeah, anything else from you, Mike? Looking to 2021?
Yeah, I just hope it's a better year for football, a better year for people in general. Hope by the time the Euros comes round, we've gotten rid of this coronavirus and then we can start getting back to normal. Let's just hope it's a great 2021 for the Netherlands and we're heading into a year where we're going to become European champions.
And of course, January's got many big games in the Eredivisie as well. A lot of the top four playing each other in that month, and hopefully fans back into stadiums too, which would be amazing. But yeah, we're going to sign off now. And again, do comment your thoughts on your top 10. Bye for now.
Bye.